Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Orange Juice, news and notes from around the world of Insoles. I'm your host, Owen Kenoy, and with me today we have my chuckling and full of laughter mother, Marsha. Hey, Marsha.
Hey, I know I couldn't stop laughing, so Owen couldn't hit the start button on this episode. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on today. I know what's going on today. I just remembered. The Pistons beat the Cavs. Sorry, I know we have Ohio consumers and we appreciate your business, but our Pistons finally beat the Cavaliers in a playoff game. What, like a snap to 12? I don't know what the highlight that came across the TV, but I was pretty hyped last night. I'm not sure, Owen, did you catch the game? But it was a good game.
It was a great game. We are, of course, Detroit sports enthusiasts. You can check if you're watching on YouTube. You can see Marsha's hat. It's a nice orange Detroit Tigers hat. But yes, the Pistons are they advance after a scare in round one of the NBA playoffs. And the I guess early 2000s Pistons, back when they won the championship, are near and dear to our family's heart. So we're big Pistons fans for sure. We went to many games, thanks to Marsha and her previous career and whatnot. But yeah, so the Pistons won their first playoff series. This is the Detroit sports, I guess, background that no one really asked for. They won their first playoff series in, I think it was 18 years. So that was a long time. And I was actually telling my wife yesterday, I'm like, man, like we used to be in like the conference finals every single year and like just have so much to root for. So it was just such a turnaround to just not even win a playoff series for nearly 20 years. So super cool to see. I'll say the rest is just gravy at this point. Whatever happens in Cleveland and beyond, I'll take it. But you know, the competitive side of me wants to say that I think the Pistons can beat anyone right now. So
So,
we'll
Owen,
see.
I was at that game when they beat LA for the championship.
Yep.
Shaq was a beast. When that guy dunked a ball, the whole place just shook. So you just appreciated the athletes that were on the course. So then when we won and beat an athlete like Shaq, it was amazing. I erupted. It was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. So it's so much fun to see him back in it. Then the other awesome thing I want to shout out, it's Mother's Day week. All of you people, remember your mothers. Go get them the card, make them a card, print it out, whatever you got to do. Don't forget about all the amazing moms out there. So with that, us moms have feet who age over time, which Owen will cover our topic today.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, as we take this trip down memory lane, the Pistons won that championship 22 years ago, and your feet have aged since then, as you have, as I have. You know, it's just the reality. I'm not trying to be mean, but we're all getting
Right.
older. That's just how the world works. So, what we want to talk about is how your feet actually age with you. So, your feet will be, you know, generally speaking, in different shape in your 20s compared to your 30s, compared to your 40s, and so on. So, what we were going to do is just walk through, you know, each decade, so to speak, and some of the things that you'll notice, and maybe some tips and tricks to help prepare yourself as your feet age. So that's kind of the idea today. And you can probably find yourself somewhere along this spectrum and pinpoint kind of what's going on with yourself, and how you might be able to help really do. Our slogan is feel better, do more, help yourself feel better and do more.
Yeah, there's a lot of decades of. So Owen just is 20. Well, sorry. I was going to say just turned 30, but he hasn't yet. He's 29. I am in my 50s. So it's kind of interesting as we go through these decades where I'm hitting all of them. Owen, you're just going to hit a few of them. And, it's just that, your feet aren't really failing you, but it's interesting as we read up on this whole concept. It's just they're just kind of adapting to decades of things we've been doing to our feet and how they're adjusting over time. And we're going to walk you through that. And I almost think about it as like, I got this brand new mattress. I got these brand new feet. And then over time, the coils, the springs, everything, just starts adapting and we're breaking down in this mattress over time. So kind of going to go through each decade and what could happen. And then the things I think we don't realize that we could do or change to be more proactive to what's going to happen to us. And in reality is when we review the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, I thought that way. I wasn't going to do anything. Looking back, I'm not sure I would have changed anything because I just didn't know any better. So, but we're gonna walk through that starting with your 20s. And oh, and you actually went through your 20s and you're almost out of them here in about another month.
Yeah, so we'll start with our 20s, and I think back to when I was working at Playmakers and helping people try on shoes. Many folks kind of still thought they were in their 20s. And I don't mean to be mean, but it's like your feet are changing, and there is this idea that, hey, like
Right.
just because you used to wear Nikes and those were your brand, or you used to wear Asics and those are your brand and those are great brands, doesn't mean that today the same thing's going to work. It's the same thing with even like the shoe size. Your feet are going to spread out and get longer. You might have to wear larger shoe size. So coming in with a set like, hey, this is what I've used, this is what works for me, really is just like uh, not doing yourself any favors, and just being open to like, hey, my feet are changing. That in itself is going to go a long way. So starting in your 20s, it feels like you can get away with almost anything. And it's like, hey, like wear these crappy shoes, you'll be good, or go, walk however many steps and like really push yourself, or hop in this new exercise. And it's like, hey, I might be sore for a few days or whatever, but I'm just getting used to it. And if I just like put my feet up for a little bit at the end of the day or whatever, like I'll be totally fine. But really what you're kind of neglecting is starting good habits, because you get so used to like, hey, I'll just wear these shoes, I'll wear those shoes. And then eventually the day comes, and this is funny because I'm actually at the perfect age for this, where uh, you know your body is starting to ache a little more at the end of the day, and then it just like doesn't really get better. And you may actually have to be more intentional about like the shoes you're wearing, or are you stretching, and are those muscle groups specifically tight, or are you taking care of them? Have you iced? Have you used heat? I know Marsha loves those tactics as well. These are just things that you have to start thinking about that you never really have. So when you are in your 20s, it is good to maybe start with some good habits where it's like, hey, I am going to take care of myself. And consider the shoes that you are wearing, that in if they do need insoles to be more supportive, or if you're doing specifically like high activity things, is that something that you want to potentially add an insole for, or look at different footwear? So there's really, the idea is prevention is going to be easier than like sitting on these problems and letting them compound and get worse, and not having a solution.
The good news is you are in your 20s. Your feet have still have good structure under them. You haven't beat them down too much. I remember in my 20s, I waited tables and bartended all through college. And, you have those long shifts. You go home and go, well, it's because I just worked 8 hours, 10 hours on my feet. I did a double. However, everyone knows the terms out there if you've been in the restaurant industry. And, you just think it's because of that, and I never would have thought, and even I guess I say, even if I did know, if I bought an insert to get more support and stability under my feet, and just knowing what I know today on how that so could have given me so much more relief and taken fatigue off my list, I'm still not sure I would have reversed it because not sure at the time I wanted to take that $46. I'd rather have it for my bar tab. I'm just being realistic. I'm not sure, knowing what I know today in that moment in time, I would have made any other decision than the one I made, which was I'm not spending the money and I'm not upgrading to better shoes. I'm wearing the black, cheapest shoes I had to wear for work. And then when you get out of college and you start that career, and then you got to jam your foot into high heels and start pushing your toes together and causing all those issues. And yeah, I know what I know now, and I'm still not sure I would have changed my thoughts, but hopefully what we're sharing today, you'll maybe think twice if you're in your 20s. But then you go 20s to 30s. Here we go, Owen. This is your new your new thing in your 30s is, as you were just talking about, recovery takes a little longer. Fatigue, it's just more consistent. It's just not going to go away like it could in your 20s. And you start noticing aches that you've really never felt before. And that's extremely common. And I guess we're just trying to give you ideas to get ahead of it and things to do. So, like I mentioned, high heels, as that pressure pulls your toes together, it can lead to bunions long term, hammer toe, etc. And I am right here, bunions. I have more friends who do bunion surgery in their 40s, and it is the most painful surgery to put yourself in a boot for 6 weeks after. It's just, I won't do it. It's ridiculous, but some people have to. They show us their feet, and you're just like, wow, all stemming from their 20s of not wearing the correct shoe and wearing them too tight. And it could be male or female, the like, oh, and I think you mentioned earlier, I know Nike has always been super popular. It's a great brand. I'm not trying to throw it under the bus, but some of their particular styles that were trendy were just tight, tight in the forefoot. And as we get older, our foot is breaking down and we need more space. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go to the Brooks Walker or the Hoka, or, you're just going to have to go to these wider based New Balance type shoes. They're going to help you later to avoid surgeries or other issues. The other thing is, I know you know this too, Owen. One thing I wish I would have done in my 20s, which would have cost me nothing more. I'm going to stress this, not a dime more that would have helped you. Have your foot measured. I always thought I was an 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, but your feet break down over time. Got to get them measured. And the shoe price wasn't going to go up to go to a size 9. Would have cost me nothing to do it. Never knew to get my foot measured. It's breaking down over time. And I started learning that in my 30s. That's why I bring it up. So anyone in their 20s, jump in there. If you have a kid who's in their 20s, reel it back to that time. But um, anyhow, so just, pay attention to yourself, pay attention to these aches, pains, and just look at the right footwear for this particular stage of your 30s. And Owen, you can relate in your 30s going into it. The activities that are different for 20s to 30s, I'm going to say, AKA, you have 2 babies, you have a house, you're mowing a yard. I mean, you could go all day on what those differences are.
Yeah, it's just a different time of life, and there really is, so many different things that you're thinking about and worrying about. Like, hey, yeah, like you got your kids, you got your job, you're trying to take care of a home and make sure everything's all put together. And then what it comes down to for me is I'm like, man, I don't want to have to like at the end of the day too, or throughout the day, have my body be like hurting as I move and like pick up my kids, and like I don't want my lower back to feel like have this ache every time I'm like carrying my son around the kitchen. And it's like that's just kind of part of it to an extent. But I look at like, hey, maybe I should throw on some of my supportive shoes in the house today, or do I really maybe even need to just like stretch my hamstrings? Would that help? Uh, relieve some of the tension in my lower back, and just like not living with some of these things that in our 20s we were just like okay with, or didn't notice as much because they didn't stick around as long. But this brings us right into our 40s, which is where you will definitely start to notice some more of the like actual change in anatomy. So the natural cushioning under the foot is going to start to thin. So especially in the heel, you have what is called a fat pad. So I mean, it's just a pad of fat, and what that's designed to do is uh, absorb a lot of the impact that your foot is experiencing with each step. So that is going to start to thin, thus it's not absorbing as much impact. Thus, the bones in your feet, the muscles in your feet are now taking that impact that previously was absorbed by that fat pad. So that's one thing that is super crucial in something that's happening. Also, stiffness and fatigue become much more common. Alignment issues become harder to ignore. So, it may not be aches and pains, but it may not be more of like aches and general fatigue, but now it's actual pain. And you're like, hey, this activity is, actually uncomfortable to do, whether that's in your feet, your knees, your hips, your lower back. And a lot of the times, it's just stemming from, uh, again, that progression your feet's taking, but not taking care of the progression or getting ahead of the progression. So, you know, I'm painting this picture of what happens, but you don't have to experience some of these things if you're staying ahead of it. I think that's kind of the bottom line for each of these age groups is like, this is what's common to happen if you aren't looking at different solutions. Like for in your 40s, like if you're really focusing on like, hey, what footwear am I wearing each day? And am I getting support throughout the day, or are there times in my day where I'm not properly supporting my body? And is that going to be then setting myself back for later in the day? So really consistency is what matters, whether that's, through your activities and strengthening and stretching, or just being consistent in having supportive footwear as well. Just taking that step will be a super crucial part to, making the most of your 40s as your feet are changing.
One thing that I'll bring up for my 40s, just because I'm in my 50s, is I got out of alignment and I didn't realize that was a thing. So I thought it was from when I jumped off a cliff in Jamaica on a business trip. Another story, other day. But I landed wrong in the water and popped my hip out. And then over time, I had to strengthen my muscles and I had to keep going to the doctor. So when you're out of alignment, one foot's higher than the other because the way my hip was. So I bring that up because some things like that might happen to you. You don't realize it because as we're doing all these activities and getting older and we have all this history behind us of things we've done, it can affect your body. And the other thing is, oh, and I might have this percentage wrong, but I think it's like we did a podcast on this. Like, I think it's like 46% of the people have leg discrepancy. So one leg would be higher than the other. I had a little bit of that going on until they kept popping me back into alignment and that straightened that out. I bring that up because we've done things to our bodies over time that we don't realize that we might have knocked ourselves out of alignment. So that's something else that you should definitely think about looking into. We do Playmakers as a PT night on Wednesdays. And so we have physicians there who I've always gone to that have popped me back in place, my alignment. But definitely bring that up to your doctor. Even my family doctor, she knows how to do that. So when I do my annual checkup, I always have her check my alignment. Sometimes she'll lay you flat on the table and pull your legs down and go, "Yep, you're fine." But every other year, I swear she has to put me back in alignment. So something because if you're out of alignment, what's happening? Hip pain, back pain, all of it's going down and we can have the most amazing foot support with our we'll say our orange insole because that's my favorite, but our deep heel cup, our good arch support, and our metatarsal pad is not going to save you if you're out of alignment and one leg is higher than the other or the hip or whatever. So that was just another thing that I completely discovered in my 40s. I did not realize was a thing. Wish I would have known it in my 30s because I that trip I was saying that I think that's when I popped it was years prior, and I just fought it when I'd run, I'd hurt all the time, and I'd swing my right leg, only realizing I was swinging it to offset the other pain and yada, yada, there you go. But just another thought for your 40s, and I'm with you on everything that you're saying. As I've gone through my 40s and just you talked about alignment and the overall stress it can put on your body if you don't have the right alignment, and a simple insole in your shoe with that alignment starting from the base up can make quite an impact. So the final thing I'll say about the 40s, it's like y- you finally start thinking about it. Being in my 40s, actually started thinking about what shoes am I really wearing. I slowed down to actually listen and make the better choices, which helped me. And we're in the industry, so of course I started listening probably sooner than a lot of other people out there. But that's why we do these podcasts in hopes to kind of maybe bring some attention to someone in 20s, 30s, 40s. So, um,
And such a great point you made where it's like, make the most of your resources where if you are going in for like your yearly physical, don't just ignore like, hey, my hip doesn't feel quite right, or, maybe my feet are aching more than they should, or my knee hurts. Bring that up to your doctor as well. And there could be some really simple solutions that they could help with, just like Marsha was explaining.
yeah. So the other thing I would say, just to kind of we dip into the 50s, because I kind of was, we are just finishing the 40s. So when you dip into the 50s, Another huge thing, which I think I already brought up, but your feet start to widen. They start to break down over time. And that's why, these shoes that we all love or the brands that we love just don't have a wide enough shoe base for us, the footbed. So that's something you really got to be aware of. Yeah, you can wear the cute shoe still, but you just can't wear it the 8-hour shift or the all day thing. You can wear it on an event or a few hours. That's fine. But your small stabilizing muscles in your feet, they start weakening as over time with your age. And as it weakens, your foot's starting to spread out. So stability and balance become even more important as we age. So we really got to look at what's your foundation, what's underneath it. If you're someone that is works in a factory all day, I mean, the concrete under your feet, a bartender, medical community, all of that over now you're in your 50s. You've been doing this for 20, 30 years. It's definitely breaking down under your feet. So you want to definitely, look at what shoes, what support am I wearing? And people start realizing I can't push away this discomfort anymore. I've got to address it. And you do, and it's normal. And we're here to tell you it's normal. So, these like small improvements that we're talking about are definitely gonna put the right base in as you move into your 60s and on.
And the idea too is, you just want to be able to keep doing the things that you love. And, once you start reaching, 50s, 60s, beyond, I'll say these problems or, this aging, it only continues. So, making sure you take care of yourself and, stay ahead of it so that you can keep doing the things you love, is really what's important. And it does, or it can start all the way up to your 20s. But it's never too late to just uh, plug in some insoles or try a new pair of supportive shoes or maybe go do some physical therapy. That's something that we also see all the time where, you talk to someone who is maybe like towards the end of their work career, let's say, and they're like, man, I wish I knew about insoles like this 20 years ago. Like this would have saved me. And now they're already feeling way better. So it's never too late to start working on your foot health. There are a few super easy changes that you can make, kind of right out of the
Oh,
gate.
oh, and one other thing that just spend a second on is overpronation too. We keep talking. I kept bringing up the feet's breaking down, but also your ankles becoming weak or like the pronation that can become a huge impact as well.
Yeah, so when we're talking about your body being misaligned, and some of the, yeah, like the hip pain or the knee pain, the back pain, that sort of thing, it all starts with your feet, and your feet are the foundation of your body, of course. So if your feet aren't properly supported, it's going to cause all sorts of problems up the chain. So what that actually amounts to is your feet will many people will overpronate, and what that means is when you're walking or running, your foot rolls in, uh, and basically your arch is not able to support your foot properly, so it rolls in to absorb the impact that your arch isn't, and then that rolling in is what is causing the misalignment. So now your um, ankle has to compensate for your foot rolling in, and that starts to rotate as well. And now your knees going to rotate and dip, and now your hips, dipping and rotating as well, all because your foot is misaligned. And that's what causes these problems throughout the chain of your body. So really, it all starts from your feet, and that's where addressing the shoes you're wearing, the activities you're doing, the insoles you're using all become super important, even if the aches and pains you're experiencing aren't necessarily in your feet.
Yeah. So okay. So we talked about arch pain, heel pain, increased fatigue over time. We just talked about overpronating becoming more noticeable, and then standing tolerance is decreased if you're not wearing the right shoes or just as we get older and our longer shifts at work we're just not getting through it. We're struggling with it. So what are some like key takeaways then from these solutions?
Yeah, key takeaways really are just to be conscious of where you're at in this journey. I mean, this is like a generic outline of, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on, there's a chance that you're in your 30s and still getting away with things like you're in your 20s. So just evaluate, like, hey, where am I at? And then what things can I do to either, prevent, aches and pains that are coming down the line. And also really just considering what I'm putting on my feet, what activities I'm doing. Am I allowing myself time to recover? And making the right choices, which, if you do need help with that, we have all sorts of resources on our website, whether that's finding the right insoles for you, the right shoes for your profession, or running shoes, you name it. We probably have a little guide for you. But just being aware that what you put on your feet is important, and giving your body time to recover is paramount.
Yeah, I think we assume discomfort comes with age, but sometimes yes, it does, but there's so many proactive things that you can do. And one other thing that you just brought up was putting the right footwear on. So we just did our store helps with the Izzo 5K. So Tom Izzo is a basketball coach, Michigan State University, and he does this very generous 5K race. And when I say generous, he takes the funds and he donates it back to the community. It's really a beautiful thing. So I was working, we all volunteer and we all work this race. And I was at the finish line, and my cousins who are in the industry but are familiar from us preaching to them were pointing out to me the different shoes people were running with. So when you talk about wearing the right foot gear at the right occasion, just think through that as well. Because people were wearing, I can't even go through what they were wearing, the shoes in this running 3 miles and the type of shoes. You could tell they were just in pain afterward. And we looked at their feet and we're like, well, okay, here we go. But I think that's a valid point. Are you wearing the right shoe for the right activity? When you're playing tennis or pickleball, you need a court shoe that has more ankle support because you're going back and forth versus a runner who's going straight forward on the impact is a different type of shoe. So just think through some of that. And I think that will also help you as you get older and become more aware of the shoe type, the shoe length. Make sure you get your feet measured every time you go to get new shoes. I think that's so important. And I'm going to plug it, get a good insert under your feet. Pull that liner out of your shoe and flap it in the air. You can tell the shoes, the companies have done their job with the outside of the shoe. They'll tell you we don't focus on that liner on the inside, and that's where we come in and help out to make sure you have the proper foot support with orange insoles.
Well said. I will leave it there. So that's how your feet change as you age, and what you can do to get ahead of it, be proactive, and not just accept the aches and pains that come as you get older. So thanks for listening to the Orange Juice podcast, and we will catch you next time.